Good afternoon, 6-4 Owl parents. Mr. Hagedorn here with your weekly update. Not a whole lot of announcements in general next couple weeks. In Math 6, we are going to continue to talk about percentages. We started that this week. We're going to continue to use tables to solve some word problems involving percentages. In Math 6 Plus, we are going to do our study guide and quiz Monday and Tuesday about area. We've been practicing finding the area of parallelograms and triangles this week. We'll have a quiz on that on Tuesday. The study guide is due Tuesday as well. We will then move on to surface area. We'll be doing surface area for about 5 more days before we wrap up this unit with our surface area quiz and study guide. All right, so quiz study guide on Tuesday next week for 6 plus. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.
Hello, hello. I'm going to look up at the owl that's on my head looking down at me. All right, so we are finishing up Percy Jackson on Monday, believe it or not. Great novel. We're going to actually read that chapter together. On Tuesday, students will have the checkpoint on chapters 19 through 21. We did a little practice on that today on a quizzes lesson, and we'll do a little practice on Monday with that as well. Tuesday, students will be preparing for their myth and theme assessment, and they'll get their study guide on Wednesday, and we'll go over exactly what's going to be on that, and they can get ready for that. Students have been taking gist statements on the themes on the myths that we have been reading together, and we have been coming up with themes for those. Thursday will be the actual assessment. On Friday, we'll be working on some context clues and vocabulary for our final quiz the following Monday on those vocabulary terms. And that's it for ELA. Have a great weekend.
I stroll over here slowly. All right, 6-4 families science update. We just started our last section of matter on Wednesday with our last set of flip notes. Actually, some kids actually finished those today in class. They are on the properties of matter. Properties of matter are used to do 3 things: describe, classify, and identify. And I think the kids with the flip notes, they didn't realize that these relatively simple flip notes actually are kind of complicated because there's a lot of vocab terms. There's a lot to remember. A lot to just put together, even when things are open note and not, because you're double checking a lot. But what we're going to do next week is we're going to take it day by day. We're going to start with dependent properties. So we're going to start with mass and volume on Monday. We're going to be weighing things on scales. We're going to pull out some triple beam balances, which is just cool, by the way. And then we're going to be finding volume with rulers and graduated cylinders, because not everything is a cube in this world. And most things are irregular. So we're going to use some water displacement to find the volume of irregular shapes. That will lead us into density on Tuesday. Density is a super important independent property of matter. And we will get into solubility on Wednesday, was figuring out, do Skittles dissolve in our mouths or not? I'm sure they do, but we'll figure it out. I think we have to test it to make sure. And then we will end with combining all these things together when comparing different types of matter, similar and different. So we're looking forward to that. Enjoy this beautiful weather this weekend. Looks nice.
All right, talk some social studies. I love triple beam scales. We get to play with triple beam scales in social studies when we mummify a steak later this year. Be ready for that. So in social studies, like I showed you last week, we've been looking at this model and this landform lab model. And on Thursday, we finished this and did a open notes quiz on it, which is now in the grade book. A couple of students tried it for a second attempt, and that grade is going to update later this afternoon as well. Now, as we've kind of understand now what the world looks like, we've talked a lot about the different landforms and waterways of the world. Now we start to shift into adaptations and how humans have changed their environment. So we've been talking about things like adaptations, like if you see close here on my image, this is the levee system that's going to save this city from flooding as the water comes down. So we do things like this, and we talk about how the levee is then protecting the city from flooding. So we're going to talk about adaptations in geography, things humans have done to change their environment or to help live where they've chosen to settle. And as we finished with our adaptations, we'll then talk a little bit more about some of the specific ancient societies and civilizations that were some of the first people to settle. So we'll go into the Fertile Crescent, Mesopotamia. We'll talk a little bit about the Indus River Valley people, the Nile River Valley in Egypt. We'll talk a little bit about the Greek archipelagos and island chains and some of the places where people started settling first. And that will carry us right through our track out. So that's what we're doing in social studies. If you have any questions, let us know. If not, have a lovely weekend. See you next week.